What's up guys, it's Denodon here, and today I am back in Kinetic Void, where I'm doing a quick tutorial on building basics. So basically, what is the best way, well not the best way, but the way I do to build ships that can also help you learn the controls if you've just picked up this game and don't know where to start. So upon creating a galaxy, which is the first thing you do when you go to new game, you'll end up with this screen, which is the shipbuilding window. Now you see here we have the starting cube. Now this shows you the orientation for all parts so you can see where things will have to attach. Now up on the top here you've got the name of your ship, which you'll have to put in. You've got the classification for what your ship currently is. You've got the usual save and load icons, as well as the share on Steam Workshop. Then here you've got a lot of utilities which will come in useful later. The credits info, which, because I'm in creative mode here, which I recommend you start off with, doesn't really matter because you're not having to pay for stuff. And then here you've got basic ship info, so you can see all the info about the ship that at the moment doesn't exist. So we're going to disable all that. Now on the bottom left here you can see we've got these tools. You've got the reset one, which will obviously reset you to everything here. Then you've got this one here, which is very useful. It's camera sensitivity. At the moment it's on the minimum, so if I use the mouse wheel in and out, you can see it's only moving a little bit. Now if I turn that up, you'll see that I'm zooming a lot more. This becomes very useful when you're building big ships. Now you've got here your translate and rotation tools that will allow you to switch between moving a part around and rotating it. The grid snap, so you can have parts snap to a grid, or you can disable it completely, which will mean that they won't snap to parts. You've got angle rotation, which does as its name suggests. You've got the zero rotation, which will remove any rotations on a part. Then you've got the overlap tool, very useful to have. And then you've got the mirror tool, which is also very nice to have, and you can see you can just click on it to move them around. So let's get started, shall we? Now some of the basics is when you're in this window, left mouse click and drag will move you around, just like, you know, basic strafe. Holding right mouse button will rotate you around. Then if you move using WS A and D, you can move the camera around further. So you can combine these to get some different rotation. But let's get started, shall we? Now, as on the bottom here indicates, to make a ship you need to have some basic things. You need to have an engine, you need to have some kinetic field, which is where the name of the game comes from, which basically serves as your shield, but also toggles Newtonian physics on and off. You've got the need for power, so you have, you know, power to fuel your ship, and then last of all you need sensors. So when we're starting, first thing I generally do is add a cockpit. So I've opened the shipyard tools here and you can see the selection of cockpits. Now this isn't all you have. If you go up to here where it says 1, you can click it and you will see it will go through different size parts. Now at the moment there are up to size 5 parts, so for example let's show a size 1 is like that, but a size 5 is like that, so you can't even see it. So, you know, zoom out, and there you go, that's a size 5 part. Bit of a difference in size, isn't there? So if we zoom back, let's clear that by pressing C, so we're no longer selecting something. I'm going to start off here with building a size 3 ship. So let's just pick a bridge, maybe that one. Yeah, that's an interesting bridge. So I've placed it by clicking it on here on the side and then place it in the scene. Now it gives me the translate tools, but it's automatically snapped. So you can click connect part to ship or hit the space bar, and there we go, this bridge is now attached. Now the key thing about Kinetic Void is that none of the parts have anything in them to start off with. The whole point of the game is that you fit your ship with subsystems that will determine what it does. So for example, if we hover over it and right click, we get this radial menu. Now if we go to remove, it will remove the part. If we go to modify it, it'll let us move it around. If we go to subsystems, which is what I'm going to do, it brings up you the subsystem window. Now here you can see everything that will fit in the ship. Notice that they've got numbers here. These blue numbers are how many size slots they're taking up. You want to pay attention to this here, which is how much space you've got. So when you want to put something, make sure that you've got enough space to put in it first. So what we're going to do, I zoomed out, what we need is some sensors. So I'm going to drag that down, and I'm just going to stick with size 5 sensors for now. Doesn't really make that much of a difference except for the range. So I'm just going to stick some of them on, and I'm going to leave the rest empty for now. So now that we've got a cockpit, now we need to add some hull. So the hull will be what contains pretty much everything, be it cargo hold, your power supply, the kinetic field generator, everything. So you need them. So if we click across here from command modules to the hull modules, now you've got a whole range of selection here, so there's a lot to choose from. Now I'm just going to go with some basic stuff for now. Let's just see how these look. Oh, I may need to adjust the zoom a bit, zoom out, and you can see that it's going to try and connect it anywhere. Now the way you can adjust the way it connects is by hitting the R and F keys, which toggles where the connection point it's using is. So you can see there's all different ones you can find, but I'm just going to reset these at the moment, so I'm going to hit C to clear it. And I'm actually going to switch to a larger size because there's no limitation on what size you pick. You can do it whatever you want. So you can see here, this is quite a big part, so if we stick that there, it looks a little odd at the moment. But what we can do is we can use this to adjust it up. You can see because I've got it snapping to a grid, it's only moving it at fixed increments. So let's say I want to bring it forward like that. And you can see straight away that we're not actually straight. So you may want to use it to straighten it up. Now this is how one of the ways you can do it is with the, what's it called? The overlap tool. That's it. If you click that, that will let you put parts right into each other where the game otherwise wouldn't normally let you. So for example, I could put something in like that if I was looking for something particularly silly. But I'm going to clear that. Let's go with something else. How does this look? Yep, we'll go with that. So let's adjust it up again, and then we'll bring it in. See, overlap tool, notice there. Now, how do we want this to be? We can bring it anywhere, so could bring it like that. That's an interesting shape. But it also looks a little odd at the same time. I don't know, actually. Maybe, yeah, we'll go with that. Let's just bring it in forwards. We've got some funny looking ship. Now, we can add as many hull modules as we want. So now what do we want? Let's find, I don't know, a part that fits. That's looking a little large, so let's switch back to size 3. How about that? That may work. So you can see it's flicking around, so we hit R and F, we can find a slot we like. That'll do. So let's put that into a spot. Bring it down. Again, this is just all using the left mouse button. And you can see we've got some, well, I don't know what this is at the moment, it's a something. We will see what we come up with, I guess. So hit space again, and there we go. Now, that may be enough hull modules, because if you look at these, they've got more space, because they're bigger parts. Which is something you'll have to keep in mind as well, is that the bigger the part, the more space it has in it, but also the more mass it has, so you're going to need more power to move it around. So, speaking of power, let's put some engines on it. Now, engines is completely up to you, really. The only requirement is that they have to be pointing backwards. So you can find, if you can find a spot to put it, then well done. So let's see, I want to kind of put it there. So let's bring that up. Yeah, kind of like that, I guess. And because I've got the snap tool on, not the snap tool, the overlap tool, I can put it pretty much wherever I want. But I also kind of want it to be clear at the back, so yeah, that'll do. That's an engine. So hit space. This is looking like some guy took the Armageddon from EVE Online with that bridge and then just stuck a load of stuff onto it. So yeah, that's one basic engine. Now let's put some more. Let's see, what do we like? We could put those on it. Or, actually, we could put some smaller engines on it. So if we go to size 2, and let's see, what do these ones go? They're not too bad. Let's put the mirror tool on. Whoops, I accidentally placed that when I clicked it. Let's say we've got the mirror tool on now, so now we've got 2 of them. Now, I'm using Q and E to rotate here, but as you can see, it does it in 5-degree increments at the moment because that's what I have selected. If I go up here to 15 to 45, you can see now they're rotating a lot quicker. So where do we want to put these engines? We could put engines on an engine, that'd be interesting. Could put them on there, but I kind of want to save those slots. Let's just stick them on there. They even, sort of, I'll just adjust them. Then you can see, there we go, hit space, we've got engine blocks there. Now let's just do the same on the underside. So, rotate them around when it finds a spot. Whoops, wrong one, rotation. Find the right slot, there we go. Now, just gotta get the clearing right. Let's just see. You can see you can rotate the mirror tools here when you've got it on. Let's just reset that back to 5 so we can set that around. How's that looking? They about even? No, they are not even in the slightest. So, there we go. They're pointing up or a bit, but that doesn't matter. So hit space, and there we go. We've got some engines. Now, the only things we're going to need now to complete this ship is any weapons of some sort. But that, of course, also depends on the type of ship you were trying to make. Now, I don't know what I'm making here, so that may be a bit of an issue. But if we go across to weapon systems up here, we've got weapon mounts. So what weapons do we want to put? I mean, in the weapons they also include mining and salvage lasers, so maybe I'll just use some of them. So just pick a hard point, you can pick whatever. Where do I want these to be? If I just put them on the sides here, like that. Where did it put the other one? It put the other one inside, that's interesting. So I'm actually going to clear that and place them individually, because it does seem to have a bit of an issue there. So let's zoom in, find where we want to put it. I'm going to line it up with that edge to make it easier to find. Now see how that's turned gold. That has turned gold because it is saying that there is no actual weapon applied to it right now, which is fine. I'm going to add the other mount first. Let's just stick it here. Now see, these red semicircles on the thing are showing its firing arcs, which are quite important if you're building an actual ship for combat. I don't think this one's going to be for combat, so I'm just going to stick that on like that. And are they about even? I don't think so. No, that one can be moved forward a bit. So modify it. There we go. Now let's put something on it. Let's give it... what do we want? A mining laser. Let's just make it a mining ship. So, where is the mining? There it is. So, mining free. Click that, and you can see that's all we can fit. So, there we go. That's a mining laser in place now. So, let's switch to the other side. Let's go subsystems. Let's find the mining laser. That's the salvage one. Mining laser. Stick it on. And there we go. We've got a pretty strange looking ship. Now, what we've got to do now is finish off the subsystems. So right click on the hull and go subsystems. And we're going to need to decide what we need. So let's stick a cargo bay on first. We're going to need that. What else are we going to need? That should give us a decent amount of space. Yeah, that'll do for now. We're going to need a reactor of some sort. I'm just going to stick that one, and I'm going to say enable, not disable, the ship info, which tells me some basic stuff. So you can see we've got very little power needed at the moment compared to what we've got, but that's because we haven't set the engines up yet. Let's find the kinetic field. Let's just stick the strongest one on, because we may as well. You can see straight away the power requirements have gone up. Now let's do the engines first before we decide on anything else. So right click on the engines. What do we want? The basic engines will just give you more engine power. Engine boost will give you a bit more of a boost, but they're not really adding to your additional thrust. So I tend to just stick with the basic engines. And you've got different tires, or tiers, however you prefer to pronounce it. And I've just been sticking the number 3 one on lately because, well, at the moment there's not really a dramatic difference between them. So we stick the engine on like that and leave that open. I'm deliberately not putting any armor on this at the moment because I want to show off how these handle, and I'll probably cover that in a separate video. So let's just stick some engines on these as well. Engine there. Let's stick an engine on there. Now we need to just put 2 more on. So if we put some engines again, that's applied, and then, whoops. Almost accidentally removed that. There we go, now we've got engines and you can see our power requirements have adjusted. And you can also see that we've got way more power than we need. So we can right click on the subsystems and we can choose what we want to do. In this case I'm going to increase the kinetic field a little, because that will make it stronger. If we go to the kinetic field info, you can see we've got 150k strong field strength, which is nice. The base level is 15. Let's expand the cargo hold. Let's double its size. And then we can reduce some of the power. So let's remove that. And let's find, what do we need? Oh, that's close. So, wait, that's the wrong power supply. I'm just going to stick that one on. And that's enough, actually. So there we go, we've got a ship, it's got power, it could be launched now. And you can see it's classed as a corvette because of its weight. So we can see here we've got some stats on how its engine's going to handle. You can see that in the straight line it's going to be pretty good. To the side and backwards it's going to be decent, but the roll and the pitch is probably going to be pretty slow. Now that is something you can adjust by putting the engines further away from the center line. But again, that's something I'm not really going to cover here. I'll do that in the next video. But what I am going to show is you can customize this ship. And right now, you can see we've got a default profile where everything is just white. Now you can change these to be whatever you want. So let's click on it. And if you see here, we can choose the color to be whatever we want it to be. Now you may be wondering, why is it showing up with a pattern like this at the moment? Now that is because if we go down to here, oops, I already opened that, we've got paint styles applied. So if I set that to default, you will see this is what the default patterns are. So let's just give this a paint scheme. Let's just make it, I don't know, red. Yeah, let's leave it red. Leave that bright red there. We'll make that slightly darker red. And we'll make that also a darker red. Now we can set these secondary colors. What do we want? Let's go for a darkish orangey red for these. Now you can set up RGB values and everything. You can use the eyedropper tool. You can do basically whatever you want to make the ship look the way you want it. But I'm just messing around here, so I'm not too fussed about it being particular. So there we go. That looks interesting. Now let's set a paint style. So we've got the default. Or you can have flames, which does that, as it suggests. It does razzle dazzle, which makes it look like a weird chessboard, I guess. You've got the default, and then you've got camouflage, which adds this interesting pattern. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the camouflage. So there we go, that's our pattern. Now if you like the paint scheme, you can give it a name by clicking on it, and then hitting save, but I'm not going to do that. So let's just go in here, let's give it a name, I don't know, let's call it The Strange Thing, because why not? So that's applied, that's its name, and I'm just going to hit H here, which disables the HUD, so you can get a nice good look at the monstrosity that I have created. So yeah, so that's a basic ship, and I will show you how you fly it next, but for now I'm Denodon, this is The Strange Thing, and safe landings.